Okay, guys, show us what you got.
Okay, so welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. If you've not seen me before, this is part of an ongoing library tour that bounces off a great big unhaul I did. So I got rid of about 300 books recently, and I videoed the process. And obviously, because I kept a lot of books as well, because I went through everything I had, because I kept a lot of books, I kind of treated it like the beginning of a library tour as well. So you ultimately saw what I was keeping as well as what I was getting rid of. And I followed that up with my cartoonist collection. So there's 3 videos of that, and basically I'm going to kind of fill in the gaps. This is the main bookcase where I keep my immediate TBR pretty much, and the new ones I buy go on here. And this is the bit I haven't touched at all in the videos. There's some other stuff downstairs which I'll do afterwards as well, but what I thought I'd do is just go through these shelves and show you what I've got, and you can tell me what you think of the books if you've read them. And some of these I haven't read as well, so some of them are sort of favourites, some of them I genuinely haven't read. There's a lot here that I haven't read, so please, by all means, I'd love it if you commented on the books that I show. So this is the first shelf out of this case that I haven't looked at yet, because the ones underneath, the 2 underneath, are my cartoonist collection. And actually the beginning of the shelf here is like remnants of that. So the first one on the right hand side here is Man Bites Man, 2 decades of satiric art, edited by Stephen Heller, which is clearly part of my cartoonist collections, but I don't think I included it in one of those videos because it's on the other shelf. So that's the first thing there. And then there's a lovely Winsor McCay book called Editorial Works. Again, another sort of graphic illustration kind of book. It is a cartoonist thing in a way because it's editorial cartoons. So that's part of that as well. And then I'm almost there, because then this last one is I Am Blind and My Dog is Dead by Sam Gross, who did, I'm pretty sure he was a contributor to the National Lampoon, from what I remember. But yeah, I've got this as well. So, going from right to left, as I have been now with the more ordinary books, I've got Tarzan of the Apes here, Edgar Rice Burroughs. So I haven't got to this yet, but I'm going through the Mars books first. Tarzan of the Apes. Neddy Corofal's Who Fears Death. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. Again, I've read this, I bought this because I had Binti and read Binti, really liked it. And one of the sort of new science fiction authors is getting a lot of attention. Quite rightly, I think. I think she's great. So, Who Fears Death? This is recently bought. I bought this on the London Book Hall, and I'm just about to finish the first book that AJ Brenier wrote. So I'm looking forward to that because it's brilliant. But this is probably even better. So I really, really can't wait for this. It's kind of like a political satire kind of thing with a science fiction kind of Running Man dystopia kind of spin on a kind of an anti-racist message. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Again, quite a new book. Annalee Newitt's The Terraformers. This was one of those situations where I had some money on me. I wanted to buy a book, and I really liked the book Autonomous by her, so I bought this. So I'm looking forward to this. The Well of Ascension. This keeps moving around my bookcase, but this is the next one I need to read in Mistborn. It's the second book, so I've got that as well. Really, really like the first one. Jack Finney's Time and Again. Absolute classic time travel. I am going to be doing another time travel video, but probably the early next year I'll do my sort of favourite time travel books. So I've done 2 other videos so far of recommendations, but I'm going to try and do one that like nails down my favourite time travel books. Another Adam Roberts one, This is probably great because I think he's a really interesting guy, but I haven't read it yet. I got this for Christmas actually. So that was this. Boy and His Dog at the End of the World by C.A. Fletcher. I was kind of intrigued, I guess, but I don't know much about it. And actually, not many people talk about it either, so I don't know if it's one of those under the radar books or if it had a lot of attention when it first came out and people don't talk about it as much. But there's that one. Mexican Gothic. This was, I think it was quite cheap in the works when I got it, I think, from what I remember. No, it wasn't. It was a FOP one. It was a 2 for £7 FOP offer, and I've heard so much about it. So this will be the first one I've read by her as well. So she's released quite a lot of books. She seems to be quite prolific, but a lot of people love her. So we'll see how I feel about that. I would like to read this before Halloween if I can, but I've got quite a big TBR for October, so I don't know. And Annihilation, Jeff Vandermeer. Say no more. This would be in my box up in the loft with the Robert Sheckley stuff, but I've separated this because I want to have a little delve. So this is Story of the World, stories of Robert Sheckley. It's like a best of. It's really good actually. It's a good best of, and it's might still be available. I don't know because these things come in and out so quickly. The Robert Sheckley stuff, they might still be available. Clara and the Sun. So this is a paperback version. I had a hardback version and I got rid of it because I'd prefer to have softbacks, paperbacks, because, you know, books take up so much room. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I think I'm going to really like this, but again, to be honest, I'm a bit hesitant because, I don't know, it's an instinct thing, I suppose, but I like the premise and I do really want to read it. I don't know. I think I'll like it, but for some reason I'm being a bit hesitant. Saramago, Jose Saramago. I've got quite a lot. If you carry on watching these videos, right at the top there's quite a few Jose Saramago books. He's one that I always pick it up if I see something, and this is the double, and that's a great cover by Tom. What's his surname? Tom. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I really like his illustration style. His name's escaped me. Tom somebody. And this is one of my favourite books, Exhalation, Ted Chiang. I've talked about this on the channel a few times. Couldn't recommend this enough. I just think it's one of the best writing I've ever read. And I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. Exhalation. His other book is over there somewhere as well. Paper Menagerie. Ken Liu, what I've read of Ken Liu is really nice, really, really good, but I haven't finished this yet. So this is a short story book, Paper Menagerie. Okay, this bit here, do it together. These are the first four. Yeah, these are the first four Expanse books. So I have read the first one, and I need to get on with the others because I absolutely loved the first one. Really, really liked it a lot. So I don't know why. Well, it's kind of book events, but I could easily just go, no, I'm going to read these, but I don't know, I get sucked into the book events. So that's really the big reason why I haven't gone through those. But love those, or I love the first one. So hopefully I love the others, but yeah. Oh, and this is interesting. So when I was ill, I had lots of people being very generous, giving me gifts and stuff. And at one point, a friend of mine called Simon, if he's watching this, then hi Simon, you lent me a bag of books, and in that bag of books was Aberystwyth Mon Amour, which is a really kind of quirky detective, kind of witty detective story set in Wales, set in Aberystwyth, which is a small town in Wales. And I just really liked it, and just so I bought it. This is my copy, so I've got his copy over there. So I bought it, and then I bought 3 others in the series. So I've also got From Aberystwyth with Love, and Last Tango in Aberystwyth, and The Unbearable Lightness of Being in Aberystwyth. So Malcolm Price, the author of these books. Have you read these books? Okay, and then just at the end of this row, we've got these two. which is again a book I haven't finished, but I've started it. Needling a Time Stack by Robert Silverberg, which is really good. Definitely recommend this. Again, it could be something that ends up in my time travel video next year, but let me know what you think of that if you've read that. And this is my second copy of Persepolis. So this is a graphic novel, and I had the small kind of like 5x7 kind of paperback of this originally, but I quite like this because it's a graphic novel. I think it's better to have it in a slightly bigger size. So got Persepolis as well there. I am going to do a specific video just on graphic novels as well, so that will probably get included in that just because it's a graphic novel. But I've got that on that shelf, and then behind that, because they're all double-breasted, so behind that we've got the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't know if you've read that. Tales of the City. I bought this because it was recommended by Ollie from Criminali, and I haven't read it yet, but Armistead Maupin, Tales of the City, obviously a very important book that was very progressive for its time and did open up discussions about gay life and that kind of thing. So really important. I got my copy of Watership Down there. And this is one I found in a charity shop. I thought I'd get it. How to Be Good by Nick Hornby. I read the back and it sounded quite interesting. He's obviously most famous for High Fidelity and Fever Pitch. I've read High Fidelity. I haven't read Fever Pitch, but I thought I'd read this because it looks like quite a good idea for a book. And George Orwell's Down and Out in Paris and London. This was one I wanted to read soon. It's quite short. I could actually include this in Shorty September. Possibility. I'll put that in my pile for Shorty September. You can tell that because this is going out a lot later than I filmed this, so you can see that I'm filming this at the beginning of September. When you see this, you would have already known what I've read in Shorty September. There we are. So this is the 2 books by Nicholas Eames, Bloody Rose and Kings of the World. I love these books. I really, really enjoyed them. Couldn't recommend them more. I really, really like these. Very likeable, funny, but thrilling, compelling, I think, fantasy stories about mercenaries. Okay, Alistair Reynolds' Revelation Space. So a much denser book than probably all the ones I've just said on that shelf. And I've read 5 Alistair Reynolds books before, but I haven't read Revelation Space yet. And this is the big one, isn't it? This is the one he's most famous for. So I need to read this, but I haven't read this one yet. Good Immigrant. This is quite cool. I was worried that I'd unhauled this because I want to read this, and I was thinking of looking at it, a video about immigration and like doing something about books about immigration because I think it's an interesting subject and there's some really good books out there. So this is like a series of different writers contributing to the discourse on immigration in the UK. I think specifically in the UK. So yeah, really interesting book and one I'm looking forward to getting stuck into. Grave Peril. Oh, that's the next one. I wonder where this was. This is the next one of the Dresden Files I need to read. It's number 3. I've read the first 2, and I think this is like a ghosty one. The second one was werewolves. The first one was another magic user, I think, from what I remember. So yeah, Grave Peril. I need to put that somewhere else really, so I can get easy access to it. Ex-Purgatory. So this is the next one I need to read in the Ex-Heroes series. These are quite fun books that are basically superheroes versus zombies, basically. And yeah, they're switch your brain off, read it. It's not particularly challenging, but it's a bit of fun. So it's pretty much like a comic book in prose form, really. So yeah, it's fun. So this is the 4th one, I'm pretty sure. I think I've read 3 of the others. There's 5 in the series. Ancillary Justice, Anne Leckie. I've got the second book actually in the corridor as well, which I need to put somewhere more sensible. But Ancillary Justice by Anne Leckie, multi-award winner, really important book, and something that I would probably mention properly in another video later on. I've got an idea of a video I want to talk about. Vengeful, this is the sequel to Vicious by V.E. Schwab. Vicious was brilliant. I thought it was really, really good. It was one of the first books I talked about on my channel. But again, I haven't read this yet. I know what to read it. I've got so much to read from these shelves. So V.E. Schwab's Vengeful. This is like a massive TBR as much as a library tour. And then I've got 2 H.G. Wells books here. So this one is The Country of the Blind and Other Selected Stories. The first thing I ever read by H.G. Wells was in school when we looked at The Country of the Blind. So that story is very dear to my heart because it was the first thing that switched me on to H.G. Wells, and then I read The Invisible Man. So The Country of the Blind, an amazing story. And then this is selected short stories. So this doesn't include The Country of the Blind, but it's got different. Oh no, it does include it. Sorry, it does include it. But yeah, the differences make it worth having both books. So this is an interesting one. So this is the Fifth Sally by Daniel Keyes. Daniel Keyes wrote Flowers for Algernon, which is a contender for my all-time favourite book. So I got this because I thought it was about time I read something else by him. As far as I know, I don't think he wrote that many books. So I've got this to see if if it's as good or at least a little bit almost as good sort of thing. So Daniel Keyes, The Fifth Sally. I'd love to know if anyone's read this because people only talk about Flowers for Algernon. So that's Daniel Keyes. To say nothing of the dog. So a big shout out to Mark from Book Time with Elvis because we're supposed to be reading this together later in the year. So this is the second book in the time travel series that started with Doomsday. Doomsday? Is it called Doomsday? I feel like it's the Doomsday something. But anyway, that's really good, that story. A really good book. So, and this is supposed to be even better, I've heard. So yeah, we'll see how I feel about albums, but I will get to that before the end of the year. So if you're watching this, Mark, it'll be good to chat about that. I need to read Cage of Souls with Dave first, and then we'll get to this. This is Mick Jackson's book called The Underground Man. This was one, again, I didn't know much about it, and I found it somewhere, like secondhand, I think, and it looked really interesting. So about a man who lives underground, yeah, there's more to it than that. But yeah, I'm trying not to say too much about these books, otherwise it'd take forever to do this. But yeah, that's if you read that book, it sounds pretty interesting. Heart-Shaped Box, Joe Hill, the only Joe Hill full novel I've read so far, and like text novel, prose novel, and I really liked it. I thought it was really good, so I'm looking forward to reading others by him. There's another one there, look. Where are they? Can't do it, there it is. But we'll get to that later. That'll be another video. And then Earth Abides. This is a really important post-apocalyptic novel. So it's nice to have it in this version. I like the edition. So yeah, really important book there. George R. Stewart's Earth Abides. And a similar theme, Neville Shoots on the Beach. I haven't read this, but I love the cover, and I know what it's about, and I'm looking forward to reading it. But I'm waiting for that to come up in. We've got like a End of the World book club thing, so I'm hoping that's going to come up at some point, and then I'll get stuck in. But Neville Shoots, obviously very important writer. I keep finding Neville Shute stuff secondhand in the shop down the road from me, but I wanted this to be the first Neville Shute book I've read before I buy any others. But and I get the impression that's quite different to a lot of what Neville Shute's written, so I don't know. This is something I bought. I did find it secondhand, so I didn't seek it out, but I found it after seeing a review on BookTube. I can't remember the guy's name, but I was intrigued. But it's probably extremely depressing. But Knut Hamsun's Hunger, and it's literally about a man who is starving. and got no money, and it's about living life hour to hour trying to find food, and yeah, it's quite harrowing, I think. I get the impression. So if you've read this, please tell me what you think of Hunger by Knut Hamsun. I've got several books by Chuck Palahniuk, and this is Choke, but the others aren't with it. But I've got so this is Choke, which again I haven't read. This is all of this is almost all TBR stuff, isn't it? But it sounds quite harrowing as well. So yeah, I haven't read that one yet. I, Robot, Asimov, obviously very influential, very important, very. The ideas are better than the writing, I think, and I think this is true. This has been consistent for me with Asimov. He had some great ideas, but I don't think he's brilliant at writing. But I might get set off a whole load of complaints in the comments. But yeah, I think he's quite a dry writer, and he doesn't really kind of drive you to keep reading it, for me anyway. But anyway, this is a very important book, and obviously sets up the laws of robotics, which is awesome. And then a few here before we get to that big one, and then we'll have that shelf done. Mickey Spillane's The Big Kill. I'm reading more crime at the moment, so I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I love the little corgi. Is it corgi? The little, corgi edition of this is really cool. I love this sort of thing when it's really tiny. It literally fits in your hand. But yeah, The Big Kill. Looking forward to reading that. And The Mosquito Coast. There was talk by a few booktubers that there was going to be a group read of this, so I've got this handy in case this comes up again. But I'd love to buddy read this or group read The Mosquito Coast. I know the film really well. I think it's Harrison Ford's best performance, actually. If you haven't seen the film, definitely recommend it. It's amazing. But you know, the book is probably better. And the incredible book Metamorphosis and Other Stories by Franz Kafka. Kafka's stuff is amazing. If you don't know his stuff, you've heard about Franz Kafka, but you've never read anything, thoroughly recommend reading The Trial and Metamorphosis first. But yeah, amazing, man. And then the last one for the shelf, and last one for this video, is a book that I didn't know existed until I found it in an Oxfam shop and went crazy with excitement. And this is Antkind. It's a massive book, Antkind by Charlie Kaufman. So Charlie Kaufman is an amazing. There's an amazing imagination and brain behind Charlie Kaufman. He wrote Being John Malkovich. He wrote Adaptation. He wrote The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And recently he directed the film version of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. And he's just a really interesting guy. So yeah, I think this is probably going to be quite existential. So we'll figure that out. We'll find out. But Charlie Kaufman, what a great man. Let me know if you like Charlie Kaufman's films. I'd love to know. I'd love to talk about Charlie Kaufman in the comments. I think he's really, I mean, I've seen Being John Malkovich so many times. I just love it so much. There's so many reasons why I love it as well. So there we go. So that's that shelf emptied. I've got to put more back in a second, but that's both sides of that shelf. See you in the next video. Please comment below on those books. Bye.